Hey guys, tonight we're heading deep into the forest of Oregon, where something still moves through the mountains, even though the tracks have been abandoned for over 70 years. You're going to walk an overgrown trail with a flashlight that flickers a little too often into a tunnel that locals say breathes at night. They say you'll hear steel groaning against stone, brakes screeching against gravel, and if you're really lucky, feel the rush of air from a train that doesn't exist. Just a heads up, you probably won't survive this. So before you get too comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I do here. And let me know in the comments, where are you listening from and what time is it there? Now, turn down the lights, turn on the fan for some soothing background music, and let's go on our journey tonight. It starts with a dirt road. You're standing on the edge of an unmarked turnoff just off Highway 58, near the Willamette National Forest. No signs, no markers. Just a narrow break in the trees, like the woods themselves are parting reluctantly. Locals call it Switchback Trail, but there's no record of any official naming. It's not on the map. Your phone signal dies about 20 feet in. The air smells like pine needles and something vaguely metallic. As you walk, your boots crunch over gravel mixed with old, rusted nails and rotting ties. Nature's been working overtime to reclaim this forgotten place. Trees lean in close. Vines dangle from branches like lazy arms. At first glance, it looks like any other forgotten train line, but it's not. Because just ahead, there's the tunnel. It's taller than you expect, about 20 feet high, carved directly into the mountainside. The entrance is ringed by old stonework, half moss, half soot, like someone tried to seal it off with concrete decades ago, then gave up halfway. There's a rusty no entry sign that's been shot through with a shotgun, probably more than once. And here's the weird thing. The temperature drops by at least 10 degrees as you get close, not gradually instantly, like you've walked into a freezer. You turn on your flashlight. The beam disappears into the mouth of the tunnel. It goes and goes and goes. At some point, it just gives up trying to illuminate the blackness. That's the first sign something isn't right. The second, a low hum, faint, steady, like distant machinery, or steel grinding slowly against steel. Locals say if you enter at exactly 11:54 p.m. and wait in silence, you'll hear it. The train. Not a ghost, not a hallucination. The train. Back in 1947, a freight train loaded with lumber disappeared on this line. Completely vanished. No wreckage, no survivors, no impact crater, no spilled logs, just gone. Last radio transmission came through as the train was entering this tunnel, just like the one you're standing in front of. The message? One word: sparks. There were 15 men on board. The lead engineer's name was Henry Tiller, a veteran of the Union Pacific Line, married, 2 kids, known for being punctual, serious, and deeply superstitious. He always carried a brass whistle, even though his train had one built in, claimed it kept the bad runs clean, whatever that means. You take a breath and step inside. It's even colder now. Your breath curls out in white wisps. The beam of your flashlight shakes slightly, not from your hand, but from something deeper. The floor is uneven, cracked in places. Somewhere far away, water drips in slow, deliberate plinks. The sound echoes like it's falling from a great height. Then you see it burn marks along the wall, faint but unmistakable. Long, curling streaks like something scorched the inside of the tunnel, but only on the left side, just one side. And a little farther in, rusted tools, a pickaxe, a dented lantern, a coat button, half buried in gravel. It looks like someone dropped it in a hurry. You wonder what scared them enough to leave their gear behind. And then your flashlight flickers. Just once. But when it comes back, You're not sure if the tunnel looks the same. The soot marks on the wall seem deeper, the silence more hollow. You hear a distant screech like brakes catching on a curve. You tell yourself it's wind, but wind doesn't pulse like that. This is the moment you remember the story of the backpacker who disappeared here in 1997. Her name was Lisa, 23, an amateur hiker with a taste for weird roadside legends. She told her roommate she was coming here to see the haunted train tunnel, then never came home. Her rental car was found at the trailhead, unlocked. Inside, one item missing, her voice recorder. To this day, no trace of her has ever been found, unless you count the 20-second audio clip that surfaced a year later. It was found on an anonymous cassette mailed to a local radio station. The tape starts with heavy breathing and footsteps on gravel, then static, then Lisa's voice whispering, "It's here, it's still running." That clip has never been authenticated, and the station refuses to comment, but everyone who's heard it agrees the sound of that train at the end is too real. You press deeper into the tunnel, and something strange happens. The walls start to sweat, not water, something oily. You touch it, it's warm. There's no smell, no leak, just the sense that the stone is alive. And somewhere ahead, just at the edge of your hearing, the whistle, faint, old-fashioned, like it came from a train 100 years ago. And for the first time, you ask the question that every paranormal investigator has to eventually ask: do ghosts really exist? Or do some things just refuse to stop moving? Henry Tiller didn't believe in curses. At least, that's what he told the yard crew the morning before the final run. It was the 3rd of October, 1947, and the sun had barely risen over the southern Oregon treetops. Tiller stood on the gravel by engine 1129, sipping coffee from a tin mug, his cap pulled low. A fog hung over the line like a warning. "You believe that tunnel's haunted?" one of the crew asked, half joking. Tiller didn't smile. "No such thing as ghosts," he said. "Just bad track and worse memories." But what he didn't say, what he never said, was that he'd been hearing things on that line for months. Whispers in the cab when he was alone, lights blinking red when the signal tower said green. And twice, while crossing the trestle near Tunnel 6, he swore he saw a man walking along the edge of the cliff, lantern in hand, who vanished as soon as the train got close. That final morning, the manifest was straightforward: 40. 2 cars of lumber bound for Redding, California. Departure scheduled for 11:15 a.m. weather clear, tracks dry. All standard. What wasn't standard was the letter found in his locker after the disappearance. It was addressed to his wife, unsigned, just a few lines scrawled in pencil. "If I don't come back, check the wall behind the clock. I think it's in the stone." His wife never spoke about it publicly, but the story leaked over the years, whispered between rail yard crews and barflies in Eugene. That letter wasn't the first time someone mentioned the stone, not the mountain, not the tunnel, the stone. The one that seems to pulse when you touch it. Oh, you crouch low under a crumbled beam as you push deeper into the tunnel. The floor is uneven here. There's a spot where the gravel turns black, slick, and unnatural. Your flashlight flickers again. But it's not the light that grabs your attention, it's the smell. Sharp, electrical, like ozone just before a lightning strike. Then you see it. Carved into the wall, nearly invisible in the dark. Numbers, faded, jagged, and etched by hand. 1,129. The number of Tiller's engine. You run your fingers over it. The stone is warm again. Something crunches behind you. You whirl around, light shaking. Nothing, just gravel shifting on its own. That's when you hear the story about the tunnel's other visitor. His name was Frank Holloway, a rail inspector in the early 62nd, Vietnam veteran, tough, no nonsense, the type who carried a pipe wrench like it was an extension of his arm. Holloway was sent to inspect Tunnel 6 after reports of instability and flickering signal lights from the few freight lines still active in the region. He entered the tunnel at 2 p.m. on the 18th of July, 1963. His flashlight and clipboard were found just 40 feet in. He was never seen again. The investigation turned up nothing except one strange detail. His metal lunchbox was later recovered 70 miles away, resting on a set of tracks that hadn't been used in decades, still full, untouched. Inside, there was a brass whistle, no initials, just a small tag that read, "Yours now." Oh, you stand still, trying not to breathe too loudly. Somewhere ahead, the tunnel splits two paths that shouldn't exist. The original blueprints for Tunnel 6 show a straight pass-through. But what you see before you now is a fork. Left, darker, damper, a sudden drop in air pressure. Right, a glimmer of old wiring along the wall, half hidden beneath moss and soot. And in that moment, you remember the old man in Oak Ridge who talked about the split. He said he'd worked for Southern Pacific during the final years before the line was shut down. Maintenance crew, quiet guy. But when the subject of Tunnel 6 came up, he clammed up. Except once when he was drunk enough, he whispered, "They built 2 exits. One wasn't for trains." Whatever that means, you choose the right path. Not because it looks safer, but because there's a rusted lantern hanging on a hook just ahead. Someone placed it there. Recently, the tunnel narrows. Your shoulders brush damp stone. The walls feel closer with every step. Then you hear the low moan of wind, except there's no wind down here. There's no airflow at all. Just vibration. Faint, rhythmic, like wheels on a track. You check your phone, still no signal, but the time flashes. 11:52 p.m. Let's rewind to 1981 for a moment. There was a woman named Margaret Fielding who ran a diner just outside Oak Ridge. She claimed that one night a man came in after midnight wet, shivering and wearing a conductor's coat at least 30 years out of date. She served him coffee. He didn't speak. When she asked if he was okay, he said, "Train's late, I think it's lost." Then he left without paying. She followed him outside, but he was gone. No footprints, no headlights on the road. She filed a report. Police dismissed it, but the coat, she still had it. Wool, navy blue with a stitched name tag, faded almost to nothing. But under the right light, you could still make out the letters. H. Tiller. Is it real? Who knows? Maybe it was a prank, maybe not. But Margaret's daughter still owns the coat. She says it's always cold, even in the summer. You reach a platform, cracked stone, half submerged in sludge. There are metal rails here, but they look newer, like they were laid after the tunnel was sealed. That shouldn't be possible. But neither should the sound you hear next. A steam whistle. Clear. Close. And then the unmistakable clack of a train approaching. You freeze. There are no lights, no vibration in the rails, just sound. It gets louder, closer. The tunnel begins to breathe around you, stones flexing like lungs. Your flashlight dies completely, and in that moment, standing in the pitch black, you realize something. Maybe the train didn't disappear. Maybe it found another route, one that doesn't follow any map, one that moves through places where time forgets to tick. And maybe, just maybe, it's coming back. The wind shifts again, impossibly, and carries with it a sound you haven't heard in decades. Not just the train, but laughter. Children maybe, or women, echoing far down the tunnel like memories bouncing off the walls. You spin in place, trying to track it, but there's nothing, just that flickering sound, that unsettling joy threaded into the roar of a ghost train. Your phone, somehow still functioning, flashes 11:59 p.m. You don't know why you check the clock so obsessively, but you do. And that brings us to the town that lost time. Its name was Briar Glen, though you won't find it on Google Maps now. Once a thriving lumber settlement during the 1932nd and 42nd, it depended on the Southern Pacific Line to export timber. Back then, the tunnel you're in now wasn't haunted, it was considered an engineering marvel. 30 miles of track from forest to factory in under 6 hours. Then came the train that vanished. Then came the town that didn't quite vanish, but more like unraveled. People started leaving. First the logging crews, then the mill workers, then the families. What's left now is a moss-covered post office, half a general store, and a schoolhouse that still stands with all the desks inside. Locals call it the backward town because every clock there spins counterclockwise. Sounds made up, right? But it's not. Back in 2004, 2 graduate students from Oregon State were doing a field study on ghost towns when they stumbled into Briar Glen. Spent one night, took photos, brought back 3 clock faces. All of them ticked backward for a full hour before stopping dead. No power, no mechanism inside, just moving hands. The schoolhouse blackboard had one line chalked onto it, untouched for decades. Train's late, stay in your seats. You pause at the edge of the platform. The air is electric now, tastes like pennies and sparks. Something is coming. You can feel it in your jaw, in the fillings of your teeth. Suddenly, a low rumble, a vibration in your boots. You step back instinctively, heart pounding. And then it appears not visually, but sonically. A wall of sound blasts through the tunnel. You cover your ears, stagger sideways, but it's no use. The train is here, but it isn't. There's no light, no shape, just the pressure and scream of motion. And yet, you know it's real. Your body tells you it's real. The way your hair lifts, the way your skin buzzes like static. You think of the boy who walked into this tunnel in 1979 and came out 5 hours later. Only 5 minutes had passed for him. His name was Jeremy Cole, 11 years old. His parents thought he ran away until he reappeared on their front porch, shivering, whispering, "I heard it, I wrote it. I think it's still looking for someone." Jeremy's story was dismissed as fantasy. He never spoke about it again. He refused to go near trains. Died in 2012 of a heart attack aboard an Amtrak headed to Portland. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe the train came back for him. The sound fades as fast as it came. 1 second you're drowning in it, the next nothing. But in the silence, you notice something new. A voice. Soft, male, somewhere behind you. "Did you see it?" the voice asks. You whip around, no one's there. "Did you see it?" it repeats, further away. You remember the conductor's coat Margaret Fielding kept, the one always cold? What if that wasn't just clothing? What if that coat carried something? A presence. And now it's following you. You take off running. Your boots splash through black puddles, moss slaps against your jeans. The tunnel pulses, stone walls breathing in time with your heartbeat. Then suddenly, the floor disappears. You stumble forward into open space and fall. Only a few feet, but enough to twist your ankle. You land hard, flashlight skittering away. Pain throbs. You're alone in a pocket of darkness. And yet, impossibly, the train is back. You don't hear it, you feel it. And this time, it's slower. A dragging, deliberate approach. A sound like massive steel wheels struggling against time itself. And then, headlights. Two faint circles of light, barely visible, but coming closer. You remember what the old man in Oak Ridge said one tunnel wasn't for trains. So what was it for? Transport? Sacrifice? A passage? There are theories, of course. Some think Tunnel 6 intersects with ley lines, ancient energy paths believed to cause time warps, hauntings, and hallucinations. Some say it was built on indigenous burial grounds. Others whisper that something beneath the mountain was unearthed when the tunnel was blasted and that thing wanted a way out. But academic debate doesn't mean much when you're sitting in the mud with a sprained ankle and headlights bearing down. You drag yourself to your feet. Behind you, stone markings, more numbers. A date this time. The 3rd of October 1947. You feel your fingers trembling as you trace the numbers. The date of the train's disappearance. Then another carving just beneath it. It loops. You hear voices now, not whispers, full conversations. Men talking about manifests, a woman humming, a child crying. You're not alone, you never were. Something presses against your shoulder, and then gone. No one, just the wet stone. You want to scream, but nothing comes out, just breath. And in that breath, you ask the question again, do ghosts exist? Or did Henry Tiller never stop driving? You stand still in the dark, ankle throbbing, breath hitching. The train lights, if they were ever really there, are gone. In their place, the tunnel is lit by a dull red glow, not from overhead, not from behind. It seems to leak from the walls themselves, like the stone is remembering fire. You don't want to move, but you also don't want to stay. That's when you remember the story, one of the strangest and least discussed ones buried in an old Oregon Transit report from 1983. It was marked internal use only. A crew had been sent to inspect the tunnel after a mild earthquake caused structural shifts. 3 men went in just before midnight. Only one came back. His name was Thomas Evers. He retired after that night. Wouldn't talk about what happened, not even to his own wife. But in his final interview with a local journalist in 2001, he said something that chilled people even then. The tracks bled. I don't care if no one believes me, they bled. Naturally, the paper spun it into something metaphorical. Bleeding steel became a poetic image for decay, but Evers insisted he meant it literally. That there was a moment in the tunnel where the ground gave a shudder, the rail groaned like it was in pain, and a red liquid oozed out from between the stones. And not just red, warm. The kind of warmth you feel now, brushing against the floor as your palm lands on something slick. You pull back your hand and your fingers come away sticky. It's too dark to see clearly, but you smell iron. Blood? Probably not. But the mind makes its own connections, doesn't it? You use the tunnel wall to support yourself, standing upright. You move slowly now, testing your ankle. It holds, barely, and then you hear it. A voice, close, human. Shouldn't have come alone, it says, soft and songy, like a memory being recited. You spin. There's no one behind you, but something's changed. The tunnel ahead has shifted. There's a faint outline now, like a doorway etched into the rock. No hinges, no frame. Just a rectangle of darker blackness. You step toward it. The moment you cross the threshold, the temperature changes again, no longer cold, but heavy. Pressurized, like you've gone underwater without noticing. Your ears pop. Your skin tingles. And then you see it. An old rail car, just one, sitting silently in a wide stone chamber, the tracks beneath it swallowed by moss and dust. Its windows are completely blacked out, but it looks clean, too clean, like someone's been maintaining it. You approach slowly, carefully. Your fingertips graze the metal, cold, slick, humming faintly beneath your touch. The door is open, because of course it is. Inside, the car is completely untouched. Red velvet seats, brass handrails, gas lamps flickering gently, though there's no visible fuel source. Everything smells like ash and roses. You walk down the aisle, the floor creaks, every breath echoes, but not in the right way. It's too loud, like the sound is being bounced off memories, not surfaces. And then footsteps. Not yours. You stop. The footsteps do not. A man emerges from the end of the car, uniformed, face obscured by shadow. He lifts something toward his mouth. The brass whistle. But instead of blowing it, he offers it to you. Your hand trembles as you reach out because somewhere deep in your brain, some quiet animal part of you knows what accepting that whistle means. Ownership, permanence, taking on a task left unfinished. You pull back. The man tilts his head, then fades, just like that, into steam or shadow or memory. You collapse onto a seat, trying to breathe, trying to wake up, but you're not asleep. You're very much here. And now there's movement outside the car. Shapes. Dozens of them. Faces half visible through the dark glass, some pressed close, some distant, some standing completely still. They don't blink. You force yourself up and step back out into the chamber. And now the stone walls are whispering. Not voices, just names. Endless names scratched into the surface, barely legible. Some old, some recent, some too fresh. And one that makes your breath catch in your throat. Your own. You run your fingers across it. It's not a mistake. Your name, right there, among the others. Was it already here, or did the tunnel add it while you weren't looking? The lights dim again, the whispering intensifies. You start to notice something under the sound, an engine. Not a train engine, a pulse, a heartbeat, coming from beneath the tracks. You drop to one knee, press your ear against the ground. It's there, pounding, rhythmic, like the tunnel has a heart, like this entire place is alive. Which brings us back to the big question. What if the train didn't disappear? What if it was taken? Some historians have floated the idea that Tunnel 6 was repurposed by the military in the late 42nd, that the entire disappearance was part of a Cold War experiment in radar cloaking or subterranean travel. But there's no proof, no paperwork, nothing on record. And yet, the stories persist. Like the one from 1992, a forest ranger on patrol near the closed section of track claimed he heard the train pass by, even though the rails had been pulled up years before. He swore it passed right through his truck, no damage, just a blast of wind, and then it was gone. He quit the next day, moved to Arizona. You wonder what it would take to do the same to leave this all behind. Forget the tunnel, pretend you never came. But tunnels remember. Stone remembers. And now, so do you. The deeper you go, the less this feels like a tunnel and more like a throat. Stone arches curve above you like ribs, narrowing the further you move. It's like the mountain has been hollowed out by something organic, something that grows in the dark and feeds on memory. You're walking slowly now, each step echoing like a heartbeat, not yours, not human. And yet, you're not afraid anymore, just aware. Somewhere ahead, you hear voices again. Not whispers this time. Conversations, calm, ordinary chatter, people talking about weather, rail schedules, meal plans. It sounds like a train in motion, filled with passengers living their little lives. You follow the sound, one hand on the wall to keep yourself balanced. Your fingers brush something cold and metallic. A rail sign. It's still bolted to the wall. Rusted, bent, but legible. Sector 7, transfer line. No entry past this point. You shine your light down to the base of the sign. There's a pile of shoes. Small, medium, large, men's boots, women's flats, kids' sneakers, all lined up. No dust, no moss, just waiting. You back away. And remember that stone you touched earlier? The one warm to the touch, almost breathing? Turns out there's a legend that predates the railroad told by the Malala and Kalapuya tribes, long before settlers ever arrived. They spoke of a spirit in the mountain, a sleeping presence that would occasionally borrow things, time, people, voices, never permanently, just temporarily misplaced. And when the trains came, when the stone was drilled and shaped and gutted for commerce, the spirit became agitated. It woke up angry. No one listened until a train vanished. And then time itself started skipping, and you reach a new chamber. Unlike the others, this one is not part of any known railroad blueprint. No tracks, no lights, just a smooth floor and a massive circular wall carved with spiral symbols and runes. You're standing at the edge of something ancient, older than the tunnel, older than Oregon. In the center, a pedestal. On it, a single object, a train conductor's pocket watch. It ticks. You pick it up without thinking. The moment you touch it, the ticking stops and then reverses. The hands whirl backward violently. You drop it. It doesn't hit the floor. It floats midair, then slowly settles back onto the pedestal. Your ankle stops hurting. The cut on your hand vanishes. Time is being played with. You back away, heart racing, mind unraveling. You don't belong here. That's when you hear him. Henry Tiller. His voice isn't commanding or ghostly. It's tired, deep, human, but wrong. Like it's playing through an old tape recorder running at half speed. I never missed a shift, he says. You spin. He's standing near the spiral wall, coat buttoned, hands stained with coal and blood. His brass whistle dangles from one finger. I was on time. I always made the run. He looks at you, eyes sunken and exhausted. But they changed the tracks, shifted the schedule, rerouted without telling me. He steps forward. I've been running this train in circles for years, and no one's come to relieve me. His shadow stretches out behind him, impossibly long. You step back. He doesn't follow. I'm not the only one, he says. We all stayed. We didn't know how to leave. You blink. He's gone. Just gone. This is the part where you want the story to let you rest. But rest doesn't come easy in places like this, because the walls around you begin to move. The spirals glow faintly, pulsing with energy. The whole chamber vibrates with the sound of a train whistle not far away, not passing through, but building underneath you. You're standing on a hatch. You leap back just as it cracks open. A column of steam explodes upward, followed by the slow rise of a ghost train, or maybe just its memory emerging like a shadow pulled from deep beneath the earth. Cars slide into view, one by one, empty, dusty, but not dead. You feel drawn to them like you've seen them before, like you've written them before. One of the windows flickers. There's a reflection in the glass. It's you, older, wearing a conductor's cap. You stagger back, the train halts, doors open. Invitation, not command. You do not board. Instead, you notice something in the steam. Figures. People blurry and wavering, faces familiar and strange. Some you remember from old photos, others you've never seen. But all of them have one thing in common. They're waiting. They're watching. They've been riding this loop for decades, trapped between time and story, and something tells you this train doesn't take you, it keeps you. Unless you let go. One last story comes to mind. A YouTube channel no one remembers. One video. Blurry footage of a train whistling through a mountain pass in Oregon, except the date stamped in the corner says 1947. The train in the clip? Engine 1129. People argued it was edited, doctored, AI generated before AI was even a thing. But one commenter left a message under the video before it was taken down. Don't follow the tracks. They always lead back to the beginning. That comment was posted by a user named L-1947, and the channel vanished the next day. Back in the chamber, you kneel by the pedestal. The watch is ticking forward again. You whisper something, not a prayer, not a goodbye, just stop. And somehow, the ticking slows. The light dims. The train fades into the stone, car by car, until you're alone again. Only this time, the tunnel doesn't feel alive. It feels empty, as if it gave up or let you go. The silence after the train fades is crushing. Not peaceful, not quiet. It's the kind of silence that feels watched. You're still standing in the chamber, ankle aching again, adrenaline drained. The spiral wall is dark now, its carvings no longer glowing, just cold stone. Whatever power had been humming behind this place has gone still. And now it's just you. And the long walk back. You retrace your steps slowly, your flashlight flickering weakly. Something in your gut tells you not to turn it off, even when the tunnel walls seem brighter now, illuminated faintly by some source that isn't real light. As you pass the pile of shoes again, something new is there. A mirror, small, framed in cracked wood, propped against a wall like someone left it in a hurry. You glance into it because of course you do, and for a split second, the reflection isn't yours. It's Henry. He's not moving, not blinking, just staring at you from the other side of the glass. And then your reflection returns. The mirror fogs up from behind. Letters write themselves on the surface. Hurry. You don't question it. You run. You finally reach the point where the tunnel forked the left path now, collapsed entirely, sealed with stone and moss. The right side, the one you took, is narrowing faster now. The walls seem closer. The air thicker. Something is collapsing behind you. Maybe metaphorically, maybe literally. You remember the 1974 case of Lucas Granger, a geology student from Montana. He entered Tunnel 6 with 2 friends, carrying ground-penetrating radar equipment and full permission from the State Transportation Board. He was looking for seismic anomalies. They found something else. His friends returned in a panic, claiming the walls shifted while they were watching, and that Lucas got separated. They never saw him again. A week later, his radar equipment was discovered 30 miles away on a different line entirely alongside a passenger manifest from 1947 with Lucas Granger added in pen. His family was never contacted, no funeral, but a conductor's whistle was mailed anonymously to the university months later. And attached, a sticky note that read, "Should have stayed behind the yellow line." You keep moving. Your flashlight dies completely now, but there's a faint natural glow ahead, the kind that shouldn't exist underground. It smells like pine, like air. You're almost out. And just as the light grows, you pass a section of wall you don't remember seeing before. Dozens of brass whistles hang from hooks embedded in the stone. Some are old and tarnished, Some shine like they've just been polished. Each one is labeled with a tag. Lisa, 1997. Jeremy, 1979. Thomas, 1963. Granger, 1974. Tiller, 1947. And then, terrifyingly, your name this year. The whistle isn't cold, it's warm, like it's been waiting for you. You don't touch it. You limp forward. The mouth of the tunnel is ahead now, its opening barely visible through curling fog. The trail looks unchanged, but you know better. The forest beyond the tunnel looks older, or newer, you can't tell. You check your phone. No service, no time, just a blank screen. You step into the fog and the temperature shifts. Warm summer air, crickets, trees rustling. But your boots crunch differently now. The gravel feels artificial. You glance behind. The tunnel is gone. Not collapsed. Gone. Only thick green ivy and a wall of stone remain. You stagger to a bench at the trailhead, one that wasn't there before. It bears an inscription. For those who remember. You sit, letting the adrenaline leak out of your bones. Everything feels heavier. But you're not alone. An older woman in a red windbreaker is sitting nearby, sipping from a thermos. She looks at you like she's been expecting you. "Did you write it?" she asks casually. You hesitate. Almost. She nods, like that answer makes sense. They always try to recruit conductors. Someone's got to keep it running. You stare. She smiles softly. I said no too, 50 years ago. Then she vanishes. You blink and the bench is empty again. And maybe this place loops. Maybe you escaped. Or maybe you're just another version of the same story. And as you walk back to your car, your real, normal, grounded car, you feel something in your coat pocket. A brass whistle. There's no tag. But, you know, it was always yours. And back in town, everything looks normal, but you're not sure what year it is. The radio plays old music. The gas station prices look wrong. A newspaper headline reads, Tunnel 6 to be reopened after 75 years. Do ghosts really exist? Or do some people just get trapped in stories that won't stop running? The train never needed tracks. Just belief. Just memory. Just passengers. You're safe now. Far away from the tunnel. Far from the whispering stone, the spiraling symbols, the endless names on cold brass tags. The train is gone for now and you've left that winding, breathing mountain behind. The darkness is softer here. You're back in your room or wherever you're listening from. Maybe the lights are low. Maybe your fan is humming. The kind of hum you choose, not the kind that comes from deep under the ground. Let the strange images fade. The conductor's pocket watch ticking backward. The train emerging from steam, the name carved into stone. They were just stories. That's all they are now. Stories don't hurt you. They just ride along with you, quietly, like a shadow at your side. You've probably heard a dozen like this one of tunnels that breathe, of clocks that lie, of ghosts that keep working because no one told them they could stop. So breathe in deep. Let it out slow. Let the sound of the phantom train roll further and further into the background until it becomes nothing more than memory. One more mile passed. One more legend laid to rest. You made it through the tunnel. And if you ever hear a distant whistle late at night, it's probably nothing. Probably